Well, the weather's cooperating because we've got the new all-wheel drive Lexus ES250 all-wheel drive. With all-wheel, yeah. It's the first all-wheel drive that's ever been attached, installed, built with
Available in the Lexus
right.
ES. This is the first all-wheel drive ever in the ES lineup, and it is less powerful.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels dedicated to great cars, driving adventures, and helping you find a car you'll love.
subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing.
What if we changed our tact and took the approach of wanting insulated from the driving experience? We want comfort and the least amount of noise possible, at least from the cabin.
Yeah.
Engine notwithstanding. And we just wanted a smooth, uninterrupted, uninvolved, calm driving experience. Lexus wins.
Lexus wins resoundingly, if that's what you're looking for.
Yes. But there's another car company that can also do those things, but still offer driving involvement.
Okay.
That is Mercedes.
True.
They still do those things. There's other cars you can probably name that do the same kinds of things. But I was thinking about Lexus and the target audience versus what we're looking for. And as you know by now, they're not matched up. They're not equal.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to find is the thrust, the market, the point, the intended buyer for this car.
Sure, yeah.
And I would like to start out with styling.
Oh, okay.
And you'll notice on the front of this car, every sharp crease, every sharp stylistic element points to the logo.
Interesting
It's all
point. You're right. Have you noticed?
The elliptical
I'm in a
logo.
Lexus. You're right. That's a very good point.
Those lines wrap all the way around to the back where they just kind of end up pointing at each other. But the door handles on the side of the car are kind of mismatched. Now, they're as big as an old phone handset.
Yes.
One in the rear intersects one of the character lines, and the other is just floating in the middle of the door. There's some genuinely beautiful shapes around this car. Just look at chunks of the car, and there's beautiful shapes.
I think one of the things you're touching on here is the fact that the look of this car is, I think, far more bold, aggressive, and luxurious than the car you're actually driving.
Indeed.
And they even have a, what are they calling it, like the black version? That is a limited edition, even more sporty version beyond the F-Sporty version of this, which this is not a sporty car. I think that's a really odd choice. But the styling of this, even in a non-aggressive, non-sporty form, is very aggressive for a target market that doesn't want a car to drive aggressive at all. I find that dichotomy profound. This is just a front-wheel drive chassis that engages the rear-wheel drive when it senses slip. They've just done this with the Camry, so it's the same kind of idea as they're using in other Toyota products. It's not a performance all-wheel drive system. It is a, oh my gosh, I lost grip all-wheel drive system. This doesn't have winter tires on it.
It's reactive.
This is just here for added sense of security, which I also think plays into the market.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law has an older ES. She saw this and fell in love instantly. I am still confused as to why it got less powerful. There are 3 engines offered in the ES. This is the least powerful one of the 3. It is a tiny 4-cylinder.
Yes.
And I will give Lexus credit. This has an 8-speed transmission. The lower gears are so short that this feels powerful enough. Initially. But if you're doing a long, I have a long
That's
freeway
engineering and
interest.
marketing working together.
Yes, they are.
Symbiotic.
They're very good. That's called synergy.
That's synergy.
They were synergistic.
Synergy.
How many ways can we say the same thing? Because
about the approach.
There were lots of meetings. But that 8-speed transmission makes this car feel powerful enough, and like almost surprisingly powerful, based on the fact that the engine is tiny and the horsepower number is low.
203 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque.
That's
not enough considering this car weighs 3,780 and it can take 4 large adults, let's say 1,000 pounds of adults, which adds another 1,000 pounds. So we're talking 4,800, almost 5,000 pounds, powered by 200 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque.
Yes.
Does that sound like the right recipe to you?
It's not the right recipe. That 8-speed transmission fools you into thinking it's enough off the line, but if you have a long on-ramp, which I did, and you put your foot all the way to the floor, you keep waiting for the car to have all the power you expect. And I don't say that as a guy just because we drive a lot of powerful stuff. I'm just saying this, sitting in it alone, thinking about getting up to freeway speeds, it's like 80% of what I think it should be.
And to me, a luxurious car equals a lot of space, comfort. It's either really cool to hear or it's noiseless.
You've spent $53,000 on this, and that for me is one of the big question marks, because at $53,000, can you get luxury, all-wheel drive, space for 4 people?
Yes.
I say yes and not get this.
I agree with you. What you're saying is this is the automotive equivalent of the most boring financial product you can think of. Think of a dormant 401k or a fixed rate annuity or any government bond you can think of or imagine.
You're discussing financial planning on this show. That is strange.
Does this not feel like something that is safe and good and a known quantity?
Completely.
I'm not going to lose on this.
Especially with the
Lexus. It looks
Lexus.
exciting.
Yes.
Those financial products sound exciting. There's others that are more exciting, but they're riskier. This one just seems like enough. The materials are great. It's an insulated driving experience. People are going to get in your car and say, ooh, nice car.
Yeah.
Then we start using logic and we start comparing it.
Comparative, this is very difficult. As a you spent this much money, $53,000 to get the driving experience that's here, because I guarantee you what's happening, to your point, is a lot of people are saying, this is a Lexus. That means it's going to run forever, and so the purchase
it's a safe choice.
It is a safe choice because we know that Lexus will have good reliability and really excellent service, and I can't deny that. But we here at this show are concerned with, you spent money, you ought to like driving it. It shouldn't just be nice to be in.
Absolutely.
And this is nice to be in. You should like driving it, and there's none of that here.
It seems weird for Lexus to have a dynamic control anything. We've got great steering feel on a car that you're not going to really hustle.
This is absolutely a car that is fine. I have very few bad things to say about this. I have a few, but I also don't feel like it is a standout other than being another reliable Lexus product.
This would suggest a driving experience that the mechanicals won't allow it to do.
Yes.
It's an electromechanical coupling to the rear diff. So that means the drive shaft is always spinning, same as the Toyota Camry. Then when wheel slippage occurs anywhere, it instantly engages and it's seamless so the passengers don't feel it. It shares the same new Toyota Global Architecture platform as the Camry. It's a little bit longer wheelbase. In small amounts, bigger on the inside in every respect. It's got a little bit more space, overall cabin space. The Camry costs less, and it's lighter than this car.
Of course it is, yes.
Well, why would you pay $52,000, $53,000 for this when you can get a fully loaded XSE all-wheel drive with the same engine for $35,000, $36,000?
And then you have Toyota reliability. You may not have Lexus service, but the reliability is going to be every bit. That's an excellent point. Of all of the competitors I can think of, at $50,000, you've just pulled a total, this ends the hand card, and you've done it at $35,000 in Toyota's own lineup.
This really is bought for perception. Everything points at the logo.
Very good. I have an odd question.
Rock and roll, yes.
We sit in cars all the time. We drive lots of cars for the show. I'm always surprised by something on a car, good or bad. In interacting with a car, something happens that I just go, whoa, that's interesting. Why is that way? You know what? Stop for a second. For a second. Here's the one on this car.
Oh.
The doors open really wide, but here's the problem. I'm not exaggerating. I have to do that. I have to lift my body out of the car to get the door back. While it's great that it opens a long way for easy entry, I think if you're a person that is struggling with entry in a car and you sit all the way down into this, you're not going to be comfortable or able to reach how far you have to get the door.
This is another example of what I was alluding to about stylistically, it seems great. The door opens really wide, and when the car is off, the driver's seat moves all the way back. You can very easily get into this car.
Yes, it's great.
Lexus does not want you to have a problem getting in, especially because it's a sedan. If you did, you wouldn't buy it. I can't get into that. It's hard to get into.
Yeah. It's too low, it's too difficult.
It's too wide, it's too much. I'm swimming in space and I have to reach out. I need a cane to pull it shut.
You're right, you're going to need help. The other issue I have with this car is not just this ES. It's Lexus in general right now. their interface is confusing. And
Not only is it confusing, it's inaccurate and hard to use.
It's all of the above. One of you is saying right now, I have this car, I have a Lexus with that interface, and it's fine. I submit to you, you've gotten used to it. We as humans are adaptable.
Okay.
We are faced with technology, we're faced with how something works, we learn it, we get to where it's no big deal, I can just find that, it's no big deal. We drive a lot of stuff, we hop in something every week. This is the most difficult one to sit down and learn quickly I have encountered. And it's not the ES, it's Lexus across the board.
I agree.
They need to scrap their interface and try again. The touchpad is not intuitive. We had this problem on the LC500. It is inaccurate as well.
Which means your eyes are going to leave the road for longer because you're frustrated because it's inaccurate and won't choose the thing you wanted to land on.
They've got a screen here that splits into 2 panels, which is actually really cool. I don't mind how the screen looks because you can do 2 panels at once. You can have your music on one side, your map on the other, you decide how to split it. That's very intuitive and nice. But the interface behind it is awkward and difficult. And I also think if we're talking about a target audience that is an older target audience, you've now made it even harder for them.
That's a fair point.
If you're not a person that is used to, because we're used to navigating all of these screens all the time, every week it's different. And it's the most difficult one out there.
That's an excellent point. There's some intuitive systems that we just pick up like that, and it's great, and we think, why isn't this on every car? Every car manufacturer is approaching it differently. And from a luxury standpoint, the engine, 203 horsepower, inline 4, for the most part, it won't ever be beat on, flogged.
No,
Sport mode
definitely
right
not.
Here isn't ever going to be used that frequently.
And it's not much of a change either.
And especially when you floor it.
It will go all the way to red line in sport mode.
It will.
It will go all the way, touch the red line and shift itself.
What I'm alluding to is the noise, though.
Yes.
The amount of thrashy, unpleasant noise in the perception of a luxury car like this doesn't match. It either needs to sound amazing or it needs to be completely silent and unobtrusive.
Or cost less. If you're in a $35,000 Camry and it sounds like that, I don't think you question it. A $53,000 Lexus, it's a 4-cylinder, and this is not a Lexus problem. 4-cylinders don't sound good, but for that kind of money, I think you're going to wish it sounded better.
I agree. You could go up and get the V6 and get 100 more horsepower, but then you can't choose all-wheel drive because the mechanical architecture won't allow you to have that drive shaft. It won't allow that. Get the fully loaded XSE all-wheel drive Camry with the same powertrain, pay $15,000 less.
I think you have ended the discussion by bringing up the Camry because I think you're right. It is the better choice for what this brings to the party with the exception of the badge. If you want something that has a luxury badge, you want to spend this much. We're talking 3 Series.
Yes.
Which you can get an all-wheel drive.
Bring a turbo.
We're talking,
Lexus is not about turbos.
You're right.
That's not the brand ethos.
You could get a Kia Stinger for less than this.
Yes, you
all-wheel
could.
drive, hatchback usability in the back, very nice to drive. And whoever is going to look at your Lexus and be like, nice car, I challenge them to say the Kia isn't nice.
Agreed.
Because it's going to stand out in the parking lot. It's going to stand out when you sit down and they're going to be like, this is a Kia? This is cool. The Stinger is excellent, and a loaded Stinger will cost you less than this. Better all-wheel drive system, better to drive. But I agree with your point. If we're talking about reliability, if we're talking about brand perception, you get the Camry. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with this car. It is fine, except for the interface and the weird doors. It is completely fine.
The doors that open way too big.
They're opening for like the person in the, I don't even know who. They're like down the block. They're coming at a run. It's opening for that, but now you can't get back there.
Scoop them up while you're driving.
Seriously, it's like, it's a stunt car. You're scooping them up in reverse. You're going to step out while the car's still moving. That would be cool in your Lexus. That might make it better. There isn't anything about the way this drives or operates that is bad, with the exception of the interface.
Yes.
But I struggle so much with that 53 grand.
Yes, cruising like this, which is most people who will own this car, you're not going to be hustling this car.
No, it's not what it's for.
Don't give me dynamic control shocks or advertise the steering is very direct, but then the suspension is so soft and the weight of the car overcomes any benefit that you just gave me. It's not designed to be a driver's car, so don't try to put that on this car.
Interesting point. Okay, all right.
The best part about the all-wheel drive part, though, is because it's a different platform than most Lexus vehicles, the hump, the all-wheel drive hump is gone.
You're right, there's no hump.
It was designed like this from the very beginning to have the invisible drive shaft.
To that point, we have all-wheel drive with no changes to interior usability and no conflicts on space.
That means it was designed like that from the very beginning.
That is excellent that they were not able to, they didn't have to compromise the space at all.
Right.
And they added all-wheel drive. That is genuinely impressive.
But you can get slightly more space in a fully loaded Toyota Camry. It's like a puffy jacket. All the materials and sound deadening actually like encroached on your interior space, so you're in this puffy jacket. Just
Lexus ES250 all-wheel drive, the puffy jacket.